Hello, Mark Larson here. I'm going to make the Baldpate Inn, which actually is in Estes Park, Colorado, is celebrating its, I believe, 103rd anniversary this year. Cheryl and I used to go to that many years before we stayed there, just for their brunch buffet, which is excellent if anybody hasn't had that. And they serve that just about every day when they are open during the season. Today, the thing that got us coming back to the Baldpate is the Baldpate's honey wheat bread. Which is an excellent bread. It is one like I've never had before. It's one that a few years ago Cheryl made for her clients, and she made, I think, 20 loaves, and everybody wanted to know if she was going to do it the next year. So, but anyway, I'm going to make that bread today, and what you will need to make this bread, if you decide you want to make it too, 3 loaf pans, non-stick or the old traditional. If you use the traditional, you'll want to grease them, and you could also still grease the non-stick. A small saucepan, need that. Hand mixer, assortment of measuring cups and measuring spoons, pastry cloth, which you will put down on the table or counter, wherever you do that, and it'll be floured, and you will use that to knead the bread. Ingredients, first off, you need some water, just plain old tap water, all-purpose flour, some whole wheat flour, wheat germ, some salt, iodized salt, wouldn't have to be iodized, it could be sea salt, some evaporated milk, some fresh honey, and yeast. We use the active dry, and we always make sure that it's very fresh, and some softened cream cheese. We'll see how this goes today. The one thing that we've have discovered at this elevation, because Baldpate is at 9,000 feet, and we're at 2,000, and it is one that if you want to get it to rise at this elevation, have the freshest yeast you can get, and also sift the flour. That we have found has been the secret to getting the bread to rise at a lower elevation. Because it is a heavier bread, but it is really a good bread, especially one that's warmed up and with fresh butter on it. So, but anyway, I'm going to attempt my, we'll see how it goes today, I should say, and see if I can get this bread to raise. Okay, now I'm still waiting for the mixture on the stove to heat up to 80 to 100 degrees. And in the meantime, I have made the yeast mixture, which is 1 cup of hot, warm water, not hot, warm, 4 packets of yeast, or the equivalent if you have a bulk jar like this, and a dab of honey. And you mix that together, and you let that sit until foamy, and then after that, we're ready for the next step. Large mixing bowl, which I omitted to tell you needed, and it could also be a mixer bowl. There is 6 cups of wheat flour, 1 cup wheat germ, 1 tablespoon of salt, and right now only 1 cup of flour. And we're going to mix that up slowly, and then eventually add the warm mixture that's at between 80 and 100 degrees into the mixture. And after that is mixed in, then we go and mix the yeast mixture, which is nice and foamy right now. And this is what the yeast mixture looks like. It's nice and foamy and ready to go into the mixture. The concoction, whatever you want to call it, the mix is between 80 and 100, so it's ready to go into the mix over there, and we'll mix it for approximately 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, now the mixture has been mixed into the dry ingredients, and this was mixed with the mixer for approximately 3 to 5 minutes. Don't be concerned if it kind of wraps around the beaters. It's a pretty thick mixture, but that's normal. And I was going to show you how I actually sifted. Actually, you put the flour in there, and if you don't have a sifter, this works really well to sift the flour, but I would recommend that you sift the flour. And now I have lightly floured a pastry cloth, and if you don't have it, a board or a clean tabletop would work. And this mixture will be poured out onto the pastry cloth right now, and I will mix approximately 5 more cups of flour into the dough. And then we're getting close to getting ready to put it in the pans. So, till the next step. Okay, now we're to the point where we've kneaded the last of the white flour in, which was approximately 4 1/2 that I used to get it to the consistency of a round mound of dough. As you can see, it's kind of a messy process, and I always think that if you don't have a mess, you really weren't getting into, you weren't doing it right. So I must be really doing it right because I get it from head to toe and all over the kitchen. So now that we've got that, we take the same bowl, I washed it, that we mixed everything up in, and now it has been buttered. And we're going to put the ball of dough in there, and we're going to cover it with wax paper or even a loose cloth. And we're going to do that where it's not drafty warm, but not drafty, and we're going to let it double in size. Okay, now I've covered the bowl with wax paper, and I'm going to put it into an oven that I warmed up, and then I let it cool down. You don't want it too warm because you'll kill the yeast. But basically, and you don't want the oven on. You just want it where it's warm. And we'll wait and see how it, just keep track of it. And when it doubles, it's ready to go to the next step. Doubles in size, I should say. Okay, now the dough has basically doubled in size. Now I'm going to put it out on a floured surface here and take the rolling pin and roll it out into 3 16x9 squares, rectangle I guess you would say. And then I'm going to roll them up into, like kind of like the way you make cinnamon rolls, roll them up and to the size of the loaf pan and put the seam side down. And then after that, I will do some melted butter on top and then put them back into a place that's warm and let them rise again, and then we'll go to the next step. Now I've rolled the dough out into basically 3 sizes of 6x9. It's actually 9 inches between the smaller sections and approximately 16 inches wide. So now I'm going to cut those and I'm going to roll them up and put them in the loaf pans and then put melted butter on top. And then we're ready to have them rise again. Okay, now the dough has been rolled out into not really uniform rolls, but they'll work. And then I put them in there with the seam side down, and then I put melted butter on the top. Now I'm going to cover them with wax paper again and put them in to rise again, and then we're ready to bake. So, but anyway, that's kind of where we're at right now. So we'll see how they raise. And this is what they look like. I've got them in the oven. Raising for the last time with wax paper covering them. The oven's not on. It is warm in there, but not on. You don't want to kill the yeast, like I said earlier. So takes time and patience, but they will raise, and especially with this bread, it does take a while because it's such a heavier bread. So don't give up hope because they will raise. So we'll just wait and see and go to the next step. Okay, now we've let the dough rise again in their pans. And now we'll cook the bread at 325. And then after that, we'll butter the top and we will get to enjoy the bread. Okay, now we've taken them out of the oven and took them out of the pans. And if you properly grease them and floured them, if you did flour them, they should come out quite easily. Now cool them on a wire rack. They may not always be very tall because at this elevation it's a little tough. At 9,000 feet they definitely raise up better, but it's excellent bread. It's well worth it even if it is short loaves. But anyway, we are going to have them for supper, and nothing like homemade hot bread. So hope this is how yours came out, and let us know how it did come out. So would love to know. So until next time, bye.